Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Hello, welcome back. Well, welcome back to me. This feels so weird. I haven't recorded for 2 weeks, I think it is, because obviously I was away in London and then in Turkey for 10 days. So I pre-recorded 2 or 3 episodes, I think. So this feels really strange. How did everybody get on with their vision boards? Obviously, I've had a few sent through to me, which has been absolutely lovely. I've also had a few people say that they haven't quite had time to do theirs yet. So I've taken it upon myself to create a little template if anybody wants to use it, just because I know these things are quite time consuming. And also, if you're not particularly sort of techie on, creating things like this online, then it can take a little bit of time. So I've created a template for you, which you can download. I'll tell you how to download that in a minute. But you can download it, and I've got the template there for you. All you need to do is change your pictures, your images, and I've also got some instructions for you on exactly how to use it. So you literally can't go wrong. All you need, it is designed for your screensaver. So on your phone, because as I said, that's how I find mine works best. So obviously it makes sense for me to create a template for one of those. So you need to do it on your phone, and if you've got Canva, that is brilliant. I don't think you necessarily need to have the app. You can open it in your browser, but you need to be able to use Canva. It is completely free. Obviously there are bits that you can pay for, but it's completely free. So yeah. Please feel free to download that. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. Also, if you follow me on Instagram, you can find the link in there as well. So yeah, please do give that a go and let me know what you think. So it's September. All the kids have gone back to school. I think most of them have now. Mine certainly have. That was interesting, getting back from holiday and rushing around trying to get all the uniform back up together. So most of the kids gone back to school, and we are at the beginning of autumn, which I have to say, like a lot of creative people, I believe, autumn is my absolute favourite time of year. I know I've only just got back from my holiday, but I am always, at the change of every season, I'm always ready for a change, whether that's a change in the weather, a change in myself, a change in my routine. As you know, I love a bit of routine, but I also love a change as well. I just think every now and again, we need to mix things up a little bit to keep it interesting. I do get bored easily. So the change of a season is a perfect time to do that, because we're all so affected by the weather that I think it does have an impact on us and our energy. So it's a great time to make a change. So I'm certainly ready for a bit of a change. Like I said, I did enjoy my holiday. It was absolutely lovely, and obviously all the family felt the same, but we're all really happy to be back to a little bit of routine and back to what we love doing. So as you know, I love recording my podcast. At the moment, it's not a job for me because I don't get paid. I do it completely for free. Some may call me crazy, but you will see a lot more content coming from me. So I'm really excited to see what I can come up with, really. I've got 3 wedding cakes left to go, I think. So this is kind of an important time for me. It's what I've been looking forward to. I've not really had time to think too much about where this next step is going to take me, because I've been so focused on doing a good job of the wedding cakes that I've had left that I kind of haven't thought about what happens now. So Now I'm back. I'm really looking forward to getting going and creating some more content for you and just seeing where this takes me. So when I was on holiday, I did do a lot of reflecting. As I said, I haven't really had an awful lot of time to really sit and think about what I want to achieve for the last few months, really. There's been so much going on. But I've really reflected on what is important to me because, what we do in life and why we do it, that's what determines how successful we are. So I'm going to be honest with you. I've been really hoping, and watching the numbers, how many people are listening to my podcast every week, and really putting a lot of pressure on myself. But do you know what? If I'm completely honest, the main reason for me doing this podcast is just to make a difference to at least, if I can make a difference to at least one person's life and encourage them to be more positive, then that makes me so happy. And that is why I do it. And I know I've done that to more than one person. So I'm really, really happy about that. And that by coming to that realization, that does take the pressure off me a little bit. And I think, as I've said to you before, I think when we take the pressure off of ourselves and when we just relax a little bit, that's when the magic happens. So also, whilst I was on holiday, I enrolled onto a course that I've had my eye on for probably over a year now. And it's something I've been putting off. It's a big investment. But the way I see it, I deserve to invest in myself. I have had to scrape into my savings. But, I totally believe that whatever we put in comes back to us. So, yes, I've invested money into a course that I've had my eye on, but I really, really feel a connection with the person that I've enrolled with. So I am super, super duper excited to see what happens there. It is a money mindset course. I know it probably sounds a bit silly, me enrolling in a mindset course when I'm banging on about mindset to you, but let's be honest, nobody is perfect. I can bang on about mindset all day. That doesn't mean that I don't need to work on my own mindset. And I might have strengths in different areas where I can have a positive outlook. But as I've said to you before, money and finances is one of those areas where I've never felt like I'm worthy enough to have money. And that is all changing. So that is why I've enrolled myself onto this course. I just wanted to tell you guys about it because I am so excited for myself. And I'm also excited for everybody who's going to benefit from me as well, because I think by having the extra confidence in myself is really going to reflect in the content that I put out, not just for free, but the content that I provide to people that they might want to pay for in the future. So watch this space. So the main thing I want to talk to you about today is making the most of our precious time. I've said before, we all have the same amount of hours in the day, and this is true. However, there are so many things to do in one day sometimes that however many hours of the day you've got sometimes doesn't ever seem enough. We can obviously plan better, plan more effectively. I know I've talked about before about planning our time, about time blocking, actually writing down what you're doing for each hour, for every hour of the day, and make sure you stick to it. That's a pretty good way to be productive. But sometimes there's still so much to do. So another way we can do this is by outsourcing jobs to people where our time is better used elsewhere. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples where I've done this recently. So I have a cleaner who she's been coming to us for a couple of months now. She only comes every other week, so she does a couple of hours every other Tuesday. But what that means is yes, obviously I have to do cleaning in those 2 weeks, but it means I don't have to do a deep clean. It means that I just, I can wipe surfaces. And do you know what I mean? My time is better used elsewhere. So, for example, yesterday when the cleaner was here, I sat down and I made my vision board template. And that ended up taking me pretty much all day to make that and to attach it all to, places where you're able to download it. It's not a quick, straightforward task to do, especially when you're doing it for the first time. But it meant that because I'd outsourced that, I didn't need to think about cleaning. I didn't need to think about what I needed to do around the house. And another thing about that is, I don't know about anybody else, but we know I have mindset issues around money. But when I've had a cleaner in the past as well. So whenever I've had a cleaner, I feel like I need to justify having a cleaner. So I will, when I'm telling people I've got a cleaner, I feel like I need to justify the reasons why I have them. And also when the cleaner is here, I also feel like it also makes me use the time I've got wisely, because I feel guilty if I'm not doing something really productive when she's here cleaning my house. It makes me think, oh, why the hell have I got a cleaner if I'm just going out for coffee or, doing this, that, the other. I actually sat down and spent hours making sure that was done yesterday. So it does encourage you to get shit done. I think if I wouldn't have spent that time doing that when the cleaner was here yesterday, it probably would have taken me another week to have got that vision board template out to you, which is then another week of me putting other things off because that's getting in my way. Do you know what I mean? It just makes you use your time much, much better. Another example of where I've outsourced recently is with decorating. Now, I don't know if I've told you guys before, but the house that we bought a few years ago needed an awful lot of work doing to it. And back a few months ago, we had the rewiring done. The whole house was rewired. And that obviously meant that we had to get plasterers in, which is still happening now, by the way. He was still here yesterday. We're doing it sort of in dribs and drabs when he can fit it in around other work. So that meant that there's a lot of decorating to do. And anybody who knows me knows that I absolutely love decorating. And usually there is no way that I would want somebody else to come and decorate my house, because it's something I know that I do really well. I'm a creative person and I have all these ideas and visions that I want to do, and I want to feel that I want to be able to say that I've done that myself. So usually I would do that myself. However, I'm not going to lie, the thought of having all these rooms to decorate by myself, that pressure is getting to me, man. Honestly, the pressure I'm feeling, it's actually quite overwhelming, and it's actually slowing me down. I think if I know I've got one room to do, I will get on and do all these things with that room. But knowing that there's loads of different rooms to do, I'm such a procrastinator as well that I'll start one room and I also get bored, as we know, and I'll move on to another room before finishing the other room that I've been doing, which means that things don't always get finished 100%. So I decided, when we went on holiday, I decided to get somebody in to decorate 2 of the rooms for me. And what a lovely feeling it was to come home to freshly decorated rooms, it honestly is such a lovely feeling. And I can still, there's still other rooms that I can decorate. You know, it just means that I haven't got that overwhelm of knowing that I've got all the rooms to decorate myself. And it's only me that puts that pressure on myself, by the way. You know, I'm sure we all have these different ways where we put pressure on ourselves, but that's certainly one of my ways. So can you see how spending that money to pay somebody else to come and do it for you has really benefited me, not only in anxiety, why can't I speak? Anxiety point of view, you know, because I was feeling so overwhelmed about all the rooms I had to decorate, but also from a productivity point of view. So that's just two areas where I've outsourced recently. And I know some of you are probably thinking, oh, I can't afford a cleaner. I can't afford to get somebody to come and decorate my house. But I would just like you to question that if those things, like for me, for example, with, you know, feeling anxious about how much decorating I had to do, how much better do you think I feel now? Like, I'm willing to sacrifice money that I would spend on other things to pay somebody else to come and do that for me. So sometimes it's not a case of whether you can afford it or not. Sometimes it's a case of prioritizing what is really important to you. So if you're not quite ready, or if you're not in a position to outsource those kinds of things, and there's other areas in your life that you can outsource jobs. So for example, you can get your shopping delivered. Anyone who's ever had their shopping delivered before knows what a lovely feeling it is when that Tesco man arrives and you know that you haven't had to spend the last 2 hours traipsing around bloody Tesco, coming out with loads of shit that you didn't even need, and feeling like you never want to step inside a supermarket again. Another thing you can outsource is cleaning your car. How long does it take to vacuum the inside of your car? Or how many empty drinks bottles have you got rattling around in the back seat? I know you. I know there's people out there that do this. My mum's one of them. Actually, she's not as bad anymore, but she used to be a nightmare. But yeah, that's something that takes us so long. But actually, when you've had it done, how good do you feel when your car is cleaned inside and out? But how often do we do it? We don't, because we don't have the time. So just pay somebody else to do it. There's so many like drive-through places nowadays where, you know, it's a small business. They work hard. They'll clean the inside and outside of your car for you can probably get that done for £25-30 nowadays. And it just frees up so much of your time, and it makes you feel really good when you've had it done. Another thing you could do is get somebody in to maintain your garden, which is something that I am seriously considering doing. I have got so many weeds. Like, me and Craig would spend like 3 days de-weeding the garden, and then before we finished the first part where we started, it's growing back again. Like, oh, it's so disheartening. It actually makes me not want to do it anymore, which is exactly where I've got to. But that's a good way to outsource something that we hate doing. We don't have time to do. And actually what that does is pay for somebody else's small business. You're paying for somebody else to live. And what a good feeling that is. Window cleaner as well. Like, how often do we clean the outside of our windows? Pay somebody else to do it. Somebody who does this day in, day out will take 10 minutes doing something that will take you at least an hour, and you get distracted in between. So you can see the benefits of paying out to have these things done. It's less stressful. You get more shit done around it. So these jobs are quite often, as I said, they're quite often done to a higher standard to what we could ever do them. And it just frees up your time to get more things done. If you know, it's different if you are paying somebody to do these things so as you can sit on your ass. That's lazy. But if you're paying somebody to do these things so as it frees up your time, which is better spent elsewhere, earning money or doing something of high value, and it makes you feel good. There's actually a lot to be said for the feeling that you get when somebody else has done the job for you. There's something to be said about how that really makes you feel. So we've talked about before about having a sort of gratitude mindset and an abundance mindset. If you walk in your house and let me give you an example. Whenever I walk in my house and my cleaner's been here, so she came when we were on holiday, and I knew she'd been here when we got home because the way she places my blankets and my cushions on my sofa, it just looks so professional. I love it. It doesn't stay like it for very long, obviously. And do you think I can get the boys to put blankets and cushions back when they've been sat down? Absolutely not. But every 2 weeks, I have those blankets and cushions placed perfectly, like no creases or nothing. And that is such a lovely feeling. That makes me feel abundant, which I know sounds really strange, like, oh, having tidy cushions and blankets makes you feel abundant. But actually what it does is it reminds me that I've had a cleaner come, and it reminds me that I've paid for a cleaner to come. It's actually a really good feeling. And don't forget that, as I've said before, whatever you put out comes back to you. Whatever thoughts you put out, whatever feelings you put out, whatever energy you put out comes back to you. So if having my blankets and cushions in that way makes me feel abundant, then that's what's going to come back to me. So it's good for everybody, basically. So outsourcing, obviously, not only does it make you feel good and it's a benefit to you because you can be more productive, but it also helps out local small businesses, which in turn helps the economy. So, even if you don't want to do it from your own point of view, from your own benefit, then think of what benefit it's also having for other people. So I'd love you to have a little think and see what areas you can outsource in your life. I hope I've given you some ideas. I mean, I've mainly listed things around the house because, to be honest with you, that is what benefits me. But if you have a business, then maybe you could hire somebody to, or outsource your emailing or your marketing or your advertising or, that kind of thing. There's lots of different areas in our life where we can outsource. So have a think. Sorry, Hugo's back in the room, as you may be able to hear. Have a little think and see what areas you can outsource something. And think of how you can use that time that you would have spent doing that job more wisely. What other things are you going to get done? And if you think of it in that frame of mind, then the thing you're going to get done when that job is being done is going to be of so much value because you are going to make it worthwhile. Do you know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. So maybe you are a mum who has decided to get your shopping delivered. In that time that you would have spent in the shops getting your shopping, you could take your child to the park and have some really quality time with them. If you are somebody who has a really high workload and you decide to get a virtual assistant to deal with your emails, use that time to go to the gym. If you, like me, are somebody who wants to create digital courses and you pay to get a cleaner, then use that time to create your courses. So you can see that if you make a point of doing something with intention, not only are you feeling good from having somebody else do that job for you, but you're getting something really, really high value done. It's an amazing feeling, let me tell you. So before I leave today, I have a massive, massive favour to ask of you. If you listen to my podcast on Spotify, please, I know I've asked you this before, but please rate and follow me. And if you listen to me on Apple, on any, Apple device, Apple podcasts, please could you obviously not only follow me, but please, 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 could you leave me a little review? Just because it really helps people find me. And as we've said, the more people that can hear my message, if it helps them, the more positivity there's going to be in this world. Even if one more person finds me and I manage to speak to them in a way that nobody else can, then that is a massive, massive reward for the world, because the more people who manage to raise their vibration, the more the collective vibration is raised in the world. So that would be a massive help, please, if you could do that. And I really, really appreciate it. If you love my content and you want to take me out for a coffee, if you're in my area, then please feel free to do so. I'm always happy to be taken out for coffee. If this logistically and physically isn't possible and you'd love to thank me for my time that I've put into the vision board template and the time that I put into my podcast for free, and love to buy me a coffee, then there is an option to do so on the link that you'll find in my Instagram account. It's just a little way that you can pay back your thanks to me if you want to. Obviously, there's lots of different ways that you can do this. Like I said, you can rate and you can review, or you could buy me a coffee, or you could just carry on listening and you could tell all your friends and family about me if you feel that they would like to listen to my message. I would just love that little bit of help back. That would be fantastic, just to grow my audience and spread my message to more people. Finally, I'd just like to leave you with a little story that is very much linked to what I've talked about today. And it's really funny that I've decided to talk about this, because my brother and my sister-in-law, who I know is listening, hi Hayley, they have recently had to redo their floorboards because the person who did them, who they bought the house from, didn't do a very good job, and their floorboards are very, very unreliable and they could possibly fall through the floor. So my brother has decided to redo the floorboards, which he was doing a really, really good job. And I'm sure, I hope you don't mind me sharing this story, but something went wrong when he was doing it. He was doing a really good job, and then something went wrong, and they now need to get a plumber out because there was a little leak. I say a little leak, it was actually quite a big leak. And maybe this is an example. I was talking to Hayley about this last night. But maybe this is a little lesson to them on, there are certain jobs that not only should we outsource because it frees up our time, but also because it is so important that a professional does this job. So yes, let that be food for thought. If there's a job that you think you can get away with doing in the house, but could potentially end up costing you A, more money, but B, more time in resolving the problems that you may have caused because this isn't your job, then, I think this is a sign that you may need to outsource a little bit more. So I hope you don't mind me sharing that story, because it is a big lesson for everybody. We've done the same as well. I can remember many times when Craig's had to redo jobs that he hasn't done properly, or he hasn't, but only because he's not because he hasn't put 100% into it, but because he's not trained at that job. There are certain things that we need to do that requires a professional, and things around the house are usually one of them. So I am going to leave it there, and I really do hope that gives you something to think about and making the best of your time. So I hope you have a really productive week, and I'll see you next week. Lots of love. Bye.